Alright, 2 nights ago, I was just laying in bed and I had this crazy idea and I had to write it down. It's not really crazy, it's just another way of explaining the simplistic things of life that we overcomplicate, but I'm gonna overcomplicate it here for you really quick. And I'll do my best to make it clear because when we see something from a new perspective, we have that aha, and then we can make decisions that help us. So, the topic is manifestation, but it's such an overused word, and I'm going to get into that a little bit. I'm going to see if I can articulate this. So, everything begins with a thought, right? Every manifestation begins with a thought. That's the logos. And we have our thoughts, feelings, and our actions. Now, oftentimes when we're feeling a feeling, it's based off of some thought that we had, whether it's anger because you're thinking about something someone did that wronged you, or you're thinking of a failure that you had, so you're pitying yourself. And based off of those feelings, you may try to take actions to correct those, right? But also, there's an interplay of energy here. It's not only you, other people's feelings affect your feelings as well. Like, you don't have to, when you're in a conversation with someone, if you're empathetic enough, you don't have to be thinking about them to actually feel what they're feeling necessarily. Sometimes it just happens, and sometimes you're just, that connection just transports you into their world. So, and again, the actions of others also make us feel things, which, well, it's more like we have a reaction of a thought, and then that makes us feel something. But everything does stem from a thought in someone's mind at some point, in some mind at some point. Uh, and it's all energy. Your thoughts have energy, your feelings, your emotions is just energy in motion, emotion, and your actions, obviously, you're moving things around about, you take fuel, you eat into your body so that you can do actions in this world, so you can create energy and transmit energy. Um, but I was sitting there in my bed thinking of, like, is visualization as effective as just taking action? Because ideally, or at least like the concept behind visualization, is that your subconscious um, doesn't, it can't really differentiate between the pictures you create in your mind and the pictures you're seeing out here, what's happening in here or what's happening in there, because ultimately it's all happening in here. It's just the way you perceive what's out here. I don't know if that makes it, whatever. I'm just gonna roll with it. So, let me think a little bit here. So each of these has energy. Your thoughts have energy, your emotions have energy, your actions have energy. And this is like the radius, the diameter of the sphere is their amounts of energetic influence, I guess, or ability to manifest into the world. You have a thought about something, it's not going to instantly appear in front of you yet, but, or feelings, and but actions, like, that's how we move things. Um but ultimately it all begins with that thought energy. So it's kind of just the range of energetic influence. So what that means is all three of these, your your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions can either be positive, negative, or neutral. And this is something my mentor has been saying for a long time, and it's taken a long time for it to click for me, is everything is either positive, negative, or neutral. And to be honest, you decide, you choose what positivity and negativity or neutrality means to you, um, in a certain sense. But obviously, we can all agree we'd rather be feeling, grateful and loving than hateful and lacking. But the way I define like positive or negative actions is just, is it does it align with your goal, with the vision you have, what you're trying to do in this world, what you're trying to give to this world? If it aligns with that, well, that's positive. If it's misaligned, that's negative. You're missing the mark there. Um, and ultimately, we're all headed to the same source again. So, in a certain sense, all of life is spiritual. That there are certain things, certain actions that lead you towards that source, and actions that lead you away from that source. Where you're missing the mark there. But eventually, it's all going to come back to the source. It's whether you want to take the long route or the short route. So we have to discipline our thoughts to be, well, our thoughts, emotions, and actions to be positive for us or neutral. I guess in a sense, neutrality is better, but it's good to feel positive emotions, right? But there's a certain range to it. So this is why meditation is so important, is what I've realized, because through meditation you observe your thoughts. You start observing your thoughts, and like I said, everything begins with a thought. And you start seeing what thoughts are true and what have you been thinking for so long that just doesn't apply to you anymore. It like truly doesn't apply to your reality, and yet you're still thinking it. Or which thoughts are helpful, which are not. And I remember when I started meditating, I would literally sit there and I'd vision a trash bin to my right and a file cabinet to my left, and I'd just try to watch the thoughts that came into my consciousness. And when a thought would come in, obviously you get hooked by it, right? You start running with it, and then you realize that you're running with your thought, and you separate yourself from that thought, and you're like, oh, is this thought that I'm thinking right now that I'm running with, does this help me or hurt me? Is this aligned with what I truly want to see in the world or not? So the positive ones I'd put in the filing cabinet, and the negative ones I just visualized chucking in the trash. Um, that's a little bit of a tangent there, but through meditation like that, we get aware of our thoughts, and therefore we get to decide which thoughts we think, and also then which emotions we feel. We don't have to let everything affect our emotions. We can choose, if someone's yelling at you, for example, because maybe you made a mistake, like everyone makes mistakes, you can choose to just be like, okay, clearly that person sees what I made as a mistake, but you know what? I see it as a lesson that I've learned. I don't have to ascribe to their way of viewing the world as everything is full of mistakes. No, everything is a lesson. Every experience is a lesson. And another example is just like, you could also choose to just see that person as like, what happened to you? Like, why are you angry? Don't you see me for who I am? I see you for who you are. You're a piece of source. You're a piece of God who has fallen astray. You are not thinking correctly. Anger and love can't exist in the same person, in a sense. I mean, it can, but it conflicts. The more angry you are, the less you're going to love or be capable of giving love. So, meditation is important because now we start to control our thoughts and focus on what we actually want, what we want to do. And we get to take the right actions, make right decisions that make more sense for us. And over time, what meditation does is, here, I'm just going to draw this. So this is time. This is positivity. This is negativity. This is neutrality, right? First of all, future and past do not exist. The future and past do not exist. We only exist in the now. Any ideas we have about the future only are existing in our mind right now. I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next, but what I'm saying next doesn't exist until I actually say it. I only exist now. And I guess it exists in our minds, like as thought form energy, but in this actual, in this, we only exist now. And the past, what we're thinking about, it's already gone. Like so many people blame themselves for something they did in the past when it's not like you can do something to fix it now. Like the only thing you can do, the best thing you can do is just accept that it happened and move forward with the lessons that you've extracted. And in the future, you're projecting all these expectations onto what will happen when really you have no fucking clue. You can't predict it. You can choose what you want to happen. You can have that in your mind, and then that is the reality that will eventually be created for you in the now because you're choosing to experience that reality now. So, with meditation, or this is before meditation, these are, the range of our actions, our thoughts, and definitely emotions before meditation. We have very positive actions, very positive emotions. And I know, oh man, I had so many periods of just emotional turmoil where it was like back and forth, positive, negative, and it's the thoughts too. Like you're super loving for your girlfriend and now you're fighting and now you're loving again and now you're fighting. It's like, when does that end? But we only exist now. So it's like we're moving along this curve through time. With meditation, when you start to reduce the amount of positive and negative thoughts, or I guess you just be more aware of like how far to the extremes you're going, that curve flattens a lot. And now all of a sudden you have much more energy because it takes so much energy to go from one extreme to the other, to the other, to the other. But now that you're more in control of, when you're about to think a negative thought, I can tell you, like, sometimes I'll catch negative thoughts before they even pop up. It's like I know they're about to, and I kick them out the door. It's kind of crazy. I like before so many people are just controlled, they let their minds take them all over the place. They're worrying about stuff that only exists in their head. And that's why I try to never worry about something that I can't control. And it's obviously a daily struggle. I mean, I'm not perfect, nobody is. And yet, everybody is deep down. But it frees up so much energy when this curve is flattened. And now, not only that, time kind of feels like it's stretched. At least that's been my experience. Um, yeah. How does this relate to manifestation? I don't really know exactly, other than now you're just having a straighter arrow towards your goals. And, manifestation takes action. You could sit there or it needs action. You could sit there and visualize all day, and maybe it will come to you, but it'd be so much faster if you at least took a step forward in that direction, right? Because this is how much energetic influence your actions have versus just your emotions and your thoughts. And, if you're just thinking about your ideal reality, creating the picture in your mind, then it has some energy. But if you're if you're pairing that with your emotions, if you're pairing that thought with your emotions, that picture with your emotions, feeling what it feels like to be in that reality, and then if you bring that out to feeling what it feels like to be taking the actions that you're taking in that reality while you're picturing it, that's what your subconscious can't really decipher as much from actual real reality. And that's what it will believe to be true. And that's what it will create for you. So I wrote here just some things like in all spiritual teachings, there seems to be this central message of central of just taking the center path. You know, the Tao or the way is the middle path, the straight and narrow path. This is pretty freaking straight and narrow. With Aristotle striking the mean between extremes, it's always a balance. And it's like with politics, you got the left and the right, and you polarize so far one way, you have the exact same beliefs as the other. It's literally a circle. But there is a neutrality that is the ideal. And I think especially that's why it's important to take every moment, because we only exist in the moment unless we're too identified with our mind. Take every moment with acceptance. Just accept it for what it is. You can be very grateful for it, absolutely. But don't be grateful because now all of a sudden you think because you received, $5,000, now all of a sudden you're different than you were before. You're a better person. That's not acceptance for who you truly are. If you were to strip away everything you had, if you had all your limbs cut off, you were just a brain, friggin', I don't know, like some RoboCop shit, you would still be you. You're not the body. You're not the mind. You're the one experiencing both. I don't know if any of this resonated with anybody, but hopefully it did. I don't know. That's why my mentor, well, two things. Back when I was depressed, back when I was, a teen and very depressed, I met with someone who my dad set up this meeting with this guy because this guy was someone who had dealt with depression in the past and was a highly successful dude. And, he drew a graph like this with emotions, how how my highs were too high and my lows were way too low. And I was meeting with him because I wanted to get on antidepressants, and he was basically explaining to me that yes, that will make your lows much lower, but also your highs much or less higher. Wait, sorry. That will make your lows much lower, but also your highs less higher. So eventually, I got off antidepressants and I chose to meditate, not medicate, and it did this exact same thing. Except now, I have the choice to feel a super negative emotion or a super positive emotion if I want to. I have control over that. And it's not like it's just happening to me. Most of the time, it's pretty damn neutral. But with medication, you don't have a choice. Not really. Like, it's hard to feel something that you felt before when you're on those medications. And I have no idea what I'm gonna title this video. This is just shit I was thinking about while I was trying to fall asleep, and I was like, I am not gonna be able to fall asleep with all of this in my mind. I need to write it down. And I didn't feel comfortable not speaking it out either, because why the hell not? I guess if you were to take away anything from this video, besides start meditating, it literally will change so much just because you will understand how much energy you've been wasting on stuff that doesn't make sense. But besides that, I guess that is the only takeaway. If you want to achieve anything, if you want to do anything, and it's not like everything is achievement, you don't have to achieve anything. You're still absolutely worthy if you don't achieve anything. You're still worthy of love. You are loved, even if you don't. But it's like, we're here in this world for a reason. Like, there's stuff we're supposed to do. And it's a lot easier to figure that out when you're not going all over the place. When you have finally a vision that you're working towards that's more of a straight line and not bouncing around from thing to thing, bumping into things. That's been my experience. Is I have lived my life through trial and error. Pretty much. I have learned what doesn't work, and one of those things that doesn't work is self-hatred. Blaming yourself for anything is never useful. Guilt is never useful. All it does is make things worse for you. And you can be sorry. You can apologize. And you should apologize if if the circumstances are right. But apologize and move on. It's in the past. There's nothing you can do about it now. If you've done all you can, why continue digging a deeper hole? Love yourself first, and you will be able to love others so much more. I don't know how else to explain it except that once I started loving myself, it was like every single moment got better from there on out. Because I was appreciative for where I was in life, what was happening to me, and what was happening to others that I was doing. I was able to let that love flow out of me into other people. And it's only uphill from here. you know? It's just we've been so conditioned to blame ourselves, to hate ourselves, to feel like we're not good enough, to feel like this world has all the control and we don't have a say in it. But we absolutely have a say in it. Always. And we also have a choice to choose ourselves. Like, and when I say ourselves, I really mean all of us. Anyway, this is just a little rant. And my only goal with any video I make, honestly, is just for one person to be like, "Oh, I've never thought about that before." And now they're thinking about it. That's all I care about. All right. You are me, and we are infinite. Peace.